It begins with smoke, not from a cigarette, but from a firebomb lighting up a suburban shop front in the dead of night. Across Melbourne, explosions shatter the quiet streets, steel shutters twist, and glass rains onto the pavement as flames swallow small tobacconist stores. This isn't random violence. It's a hidden war, one fought for control of a black market empire worth more than $3 billion a year. When the authorities cracked down on drugs and weapons, the underworld adapted. And this time, it found its new gold mine not in narcotics, but in tobacco. Behind each burning shop front lies an invisible empire built on smuggling, extortion, and fear. You're watching Crime Cipher, faceless, respectful, relentless. Tonight, we decode the silent war that burns behind Melbourne shopfronts. The hidden empire. Australia's tobacco tax is among the highest in the world, $50 a pack in some cases. The policy was meant to curb smoking, but instead it opened the door to a criminal opportunity worth billions. Every extreme law creates a loophole, and in that loophole, organized crime flourished. Smuggling tobacco carried lower risks than drug trafficking and lighter penalties, yet offered similar profits. A single shipping container filled with unmarked cartons could earn millions once it reached Melbourne. Soon, Bikie gangs, Middle Eastern syndicates, and even small retailers joined forces to build what became known as the smoke trade. This new black market didn't need drug labs or cartel routes, just warehouses, import papers, and intimidation. It was cleaner, simpler, and just as deadly. Loyalty was enforced not with words, but with fire. The Firebombs Begin. By 2022, the city was under siege. Dozens of tobacconists were attacked, some burned to the ground, others riddled with bullets. Within 6 months, over 60 fires ripped through Melbourne suburbs. Each one carried the same message: sell our brand, pay our fee, or burn. Investigators soon noticed the pattern. The same fuel cans, the same midnight timing, the same 2 masked men caught on CCTV. These weren't random arsons. They were precision strikes. Syndicates imported cheap cigarettes from Lebanon and the UAE, then forced local shop owners to sell only their brands. Those who refused became examples. Their stores reduced to ashes by dawn. Suburbs like Campbellfield, Epping, and Craigieburn became war zones. When fires spread to Geelong and Ballarat, it was clear that this was no local feud. It was organized crime on a national scale. Insurance losses ran into tens of millions, but the real cost was fear. Shop owners slept inside their stores, families fled neighborhoods, and Melbourne's night skyline flickered with the glow of burning tobacco shops. The players in the smoke. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered 3 main factions driving the tobacco war. First, the Middle Eastern crime syndicates. They controlled import routes through Port Melbourne and Adelaide, disguising tobacco shipments as food, fabric, or tea. These men presented themselves as businessmen, sharp suits by day, enforcers by night. Second, the outlaw bikie clubs. After police operations like Taskforce Morpheus crippled their drug income, many Bikies turned to tobacco. It was easy to move, hard to trace, and most importantly, legal-looking. Some even used legitimate retail licenses to launder their profits. Third, the local shop owners, the unwilling pawns. Some joined the black market out of desperation, while others paid protection money just to keep their stores safe. They were trapped between greed and survival. Together, these 3 forces created a dark supply chain stretching from overseas farms to suburban shelves. A single intercepted container could hold 10 million illegal cigarettes, but for every one seized, 2 slipped through undetected. By 2023, police estimated that 1 in 5 cigarettes sold in Victoria came from the black market, and every puff fed the next fire. Taskforce Lunar. By early 2024, Melbourne's tobacco war had reached breaking point. Firefighters raced from blaze to blaze, while terrified shop owners watched their livelihoods vanish in the smoke. Even insurance companies began refusing coverage for entire shopping strips. Something had to change, and it did. Victoria Police launched Taskforce Lunar, a specialist operation designed to disrupt the networks behind the flames. Raids tore through Melbourne's northern and western suburbs. In one storage unit, police found walls of unmarked cartons, cash-stuffed duffel bags, and luxury cars bought with nothing but smoke money. Over 70 arrests followed. Millions in illegal tobacco and cash were seized. Dozens of shops were forced to close. For the first time, it seemed the firestorm might be dying down. The profit margins were too good, the product too easy to hide. Because unlike drugs, tobacco looked legal. A carton of contraband was indistinguishable from the real thing until you read the fine print. By then, it was already on the shelves. The politics of smoke. As the fires burned, another battle unfolded far from the streets. A political war over who created this crisis in the first place. Australia's tobacco tax, one of the world's steepest, had been meant to protect public health. But with cigarette prices soaring past $50 a pack, the government had unintentionally created a criminal gold rush. Every tax increase widened the gap between legal and illegal products, driving desperate smokers straight into the arms of smugglers. The Australian Tax Office estimated that illicit tobacco now cost the government over $2 billion a year in lost revenue. That's money that could have funded schools, hospitals, and community programs, now instead fueling crime families and bikie gangs. Some politicians demanded tougher border controls. Others called for licensing reforms and federal crackdowns. But even within Parliament, few could agree on a fix. Because this wasn't just about tax anymore, it was about fear. Shop owners across Melbourne lived in quiet terror. Many refused to cooperate with police, convinced that doing so would invite retaliation. Others paid protection fees in secret, hoping to be spared. The illicit tobacco trade had evolved beyond an economic problem, a nation of smoke. By the end of 2024, the fires had spread far beyond Victoria. The same pattern began to appear in Sydney, Adelaide, and Perth. Firebomb stores, masked men, and threats slipped under doors. The illicit tobacco trade had gone national. Police found shipping containers arriving through multiple ports, often disguised as tea leaves, spices, or building materials. Inside were millions of dollars worth of cigarettes, packed tightly, bound for suburban storerooms and corner shops. Every successful shipment added fuel to a black market economy that now rivaled the narcotics trade. Economists called it tax collapse by fire. Law enforcement called it Australia's new cocaine crisis. But for the people who lived through it, the shop owners watching their dreams turn to ash, it was simpler. They called it terror. Communities grew used to the sound of explosions at night. Parents pulled their children away from shop fronts. Business owners installed steel cages inside their stores and slept behind the counter. What began as an underground economy had become a campaign of fear. And despite all the raids, arrests, and inquiries, the smoke still hung heavy in the air. The Melbourne tobacco wars haven't ended. The fires are smaller now, the headlines quieter, but the networks remain. New fronts open in other cities. Old names resurface under new companies. What began as an easy profit scheme has become a blueprint for modern organized crime, one that thrives in plain sight. You've been watching Crime Cipher, faceless, respectful, relentless. If this decode opened your eyes to the hidden empire of smoke and fear spreading across Australia, subscribe, share, and hit the bell ring. Because in the shadows of every city, crime evolves, and we'll be here to decode it.